is worse. That is a worse trade than Dallas and the Lakers.
Yes.
By far.
Is the Miami Heat's culture crumbling before our eyes? The fallout from the Jimmy Butler trade has sent shockwaves through the franchise, and the results have been tragic. Miami thought they were making the right move by shipping Butler to the Golden State Warriors in a blockbuster deal. But was it a fatal mistake? Since the trade, the Warriors have been unstoppable, posting a dominant 16-4 record. Meanwhile, Miami has spiraled into chaos, stumbling to a miserable 5-16 mark. And now, the moment of reckoning is here. Butler returns to Miami, and despite the Heat's struggles, they plan to honor him with a tribute video. But let's be honest, this is going to be awkward. Miami's issues go deeper than one trade. Poor roster moves, missed superstar opportunities, and Pat Riley's reluctance to go all in have left the franchise stuck in mediocrity. Is this just a slump, or is the Heat's golden era officially over? Let's dive in. The fallout from the Jimmy Butler trade. After months of internal drama, suspensions, and growing tensions, the Heat finally pulled the trigger, shipping Butler to the Golden State Warriors in a blockbuster deal last month. And now, the moment of reckoning has arrived. Butler is set to return to Miami for the first time since the trade, and the Heat have something planned. According to Anthony Chiang of the Miami Herald, Miami will honor Butler with a tribute video before their March 25th matchup. It's a nod to their usual tradition, reserving this gesture for players who either won a championship or earned All-Star honors during their tenure with the franchise. But let's be real. Given how things ended, this is going to be awkward. Since Butler's departure, the contrast between these two teams couldn't be more drastic. The Warriors have been thriving, going 16-4 since Butler suited up for them. And one of those losses? It came with him in street clothes. Meanwhile, Miami has completely fallen apart, stumbling to a disastrous 5-16 record. Sure, they managed to snap a brutal 10-game losing streak with a win over the lowly Charlotte Hornets, but that's hardly worth celebrating. Take their March 22nd matchup against the Houston Rockets, for example, a perfect snapshot of their struggles. The Heat suffered a 102-98 loss, undone by an absolute flamethrower performance from Fred VanVleet. The Rockets guard torched Miami with 37 points, hitting 9 of 11 from deep, including 13 in the fourth quarter alone. On the Heat side, Andrew Wiggins had a strong outing with 30 points, including an explosive 20-point second quarter, the highest scoring quarter of his 11-year career. Rookie Kel'el Ware also showed promise with 16 points and 14 rebounds. But it wasn't enough. Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo, two players expected to step up post-Butler, came up short. Herro managed just 8 points. Houston dominated the glass, out-rebounding Miami 46-34 and punishing them with second-chance opportunities. Miami had control early but couldn't close it out. Sound familiar? That loss pushed the Heat skid to 10 straight games, their worst losing streak since 2008. And let's not sugarcoat it. Things have been rough ever since the Butler trade. On paper, it seemed like a decent return, but in reality, it's been a nightmare. The team has gone 4-17 since pulling the trigger, exposing deep issues with chemistry, leadership, and consistency. Wiggins has had flashes of brilliance, like his 30-point effort against Houston, but Miami's struggles go beyond individual performances. They're failing to close games, lacking identity, and, most concerning, seem lost without Butler's presence. As the Heat prepare to welcome Jimmy back to Miami, one thing is clear. This team isn't just struggling, they're unraveling. And unless something changes fast, the worst may still be ahead. The Miami Heat have long been one of the most desirable franchises for NBA stars. No state income tax, a thriving city, and a Hall of Fame caliber coach in Erik Spoelstra. On paper, Miami should be a hotspot for top-tier talent. But here's the problem. Pat Riley's reluctance to go all in has left the Heat stuck in mediocrity. Take Damian Lillard, for example. He wanted Miami. He publicly named the Heat as his preferred destination. And yet, Riley refused to meet Portland's asking price. Instead of suiting up in South Beach, Lillard ended up in Milwaukee, making one of Miami's biggest rivals even stronger. And it's not just Dame. Kevin Durant has been linked to the Heat multiple times. He's shown interest. He's available. Yet every single time, Miami has failed to close the deal. 3 chances to land KD, 3 failures. Why? because Riley and the front office wouldn't make the sacrifices necessary to bring a true superstar to Miami. The result? A team that's still waiting for its next great player while the rest of the East gets better. Miami has completely collapsed, now sitting at 29-41 after a brutal home loss to the Houston Rockets. This was supposed to be a fresh start, a reset for a locker room that had been tense for months. Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo were meant to step up as leaders, but instead of thriving, Miami looks completely lost. No star to carry them, no locker room leader to take the pressure off the young guys, and now no excuses left. For years, the Heat relied on Butler's postseason magic to cover up their flaws. 2 finals runs, one in 2020, another in 2024, gave them hope, but both ended in heartbreak, and now the cracks in the foundation are too big to ignore. So what's left? A roster that feels unfinished, a team that lacks real offensive firepower, and worst of all, massive inflated contracts that make a much-needed rebuild even harder. Miami isn't just slipping, they're self-destructing, and unless something changes fast, it's only going to get worse. For years, Heat culture was more than just a catchphrase, it was an identity. It meant toughness, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to winning. But in 2025, that identity is crumbling before our eyes. The Heat have leaned on this mantra for so long, but without results to back it up, it feels like nothing more than an outdated marketing slogan. They've even worn jerseys featuring the phrase, "But let's be real, what good is a so-called culture of hard work when the team is struggling to stay afloat?" The effort is inconsistent, players seem disengaged, and the chemistry that once held this squad together is starting to fall apart. If Miami wants to keep pushing this Heat culture narrative, they need to start showing it on the court, because right now, it's all talk with no results. No figure is more synonymous with the Miami Heat than Pat Riley. He built championship teams, established a winning culture, and turned Miami into a premier franchise. But in the wake of the Jimmy Butler fallout, even Riley's legacy is starting to come into question. This season has been a disaster, and Butler's exit before the trade deadline only made things worse. Since then, the Heat have been in free fall, racking up losses and looking like a shadow of the gritty, disciplined team fans once knew. And now, people are starting to ask the tough questions. Has Pat Riley's time run out? Former NBA star Lou Williams didn't hold back when he addressed Riley's role in the franchise's struggles. During a recent appearance on Run It Back, he made a pointed observation about the legendary executive. "I think just naturally, when you're 80 years old, there are things you probably don't understand or get when it comes to the culture of players now," Williams said. And honestly, he might have a point. The NBA has changed. Players have more power, relationships matter more than ever, and front offices need to adapt. Riley has always operated with an old-school mentality, but is that approach still effective in today's league? With the Heat spiraling and their future looking uncertain, one thing is clear: something has to change. Whether it's the roster, the front office, or the philosophy behind Heat culture, Miami has some serious soul-searching to do before it can reclaim its status as contenders. Is the Miami Heat's golden era officially over, or is this just a temporary slump? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this deep dive was insightful, leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated with the best NBA content. More big stories and breakdowns are coming soon. Don't miss out. Thanks for watching.